Tym Moss.
Hello, Wendy Stuart. How are you?
Good. How are you? Happy post Labor Day. My God, where did the summer go?
I was just trying to look up my calendar because I couldn't remember what I did this last week. And I forgot it was Labor Day weekend. Yeah.
Friday night you were with me.
Yes, that's right. We went up to Richard Skipper's up in Spark Hill, New York,
right
along the river, and had a lovely dinner with him.
A lovely dinner. And I have to share with our audience, many of you subscribe to Richard Skipper's podcast newsletter. He is, of course, as charming and as knowledgeable in person as he is when you see him streaming. I don't know how he does it all. And he has a million entertaining stories is all I could tell you.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah, he's an incredible performer too. He was just up in Provincetown. And everybody up there got a treat to see him.
Yeah, and I think he's one to watch for because I think he's going to be doing more live performing.
Yeah,
I know that.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah, right. Tim, you were very encouraging about that. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So how was the rest of your weekend? You went back up to Milford, Pennsylvania.
So
right?
I went out to Pennsylvania, and normally every year I give a party for 100 people on my deck in Pennsylvania. Well, you know what? This year, between doing Jersey Pride, just getting back from Alaska, working since I'm back, Mama didn't have the juice in her for 100 people. So God strike me down. I gave a party for 21 people and word got out and I got nasty texts.
Oh,
and I haven't even posted the pictures from it because now I'm afraid I'm going to make people angry. And somebody else put some pictures up and somebody wrote, "Oh, sorry that I wasn't there." So anyway, you've got a word. You know what? I'm on my soapbox. Just your word of etiquette. If you're used to someone giving a party for 100 people and they only end up doing 21, just say to yourself, "There's got to be a reason for that, right?"
Exactly.
Thank you. You can't. Mama's not running a hotel, damn it. So, and Tim, I want to tell you, I'm very excited this week, this Sunday out in Pennsylvania, really for the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. We are having Pike County Pride.
Oh, right. Nice.
Right. It's our, September Pride, because Pride should be all the time. So I'll be emceeing the show. We have incredible entertainers. We will have drag performers, singers, vendors, food, you name it, we'll have it. So if you're out my way, please stop by and say hi.
Well, I had kind of a New York weekend. Firstly, my friends up in Yonkers had asked if I wanted to come up and have one last dip in the pool for the season, which I did. And I had a wonderful time with Susan and John Baker. And then on the train back, I texted my friend who was in from out of town from Dayton, Ohio. She has she's a drag queen and has the longest running public access show in Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And so she happened to be in town. So I said, "Well, where are you?" And she said, "They're down around Chinatown." So I said, "I'll just take the train down to Grand Central and go on down and meet up with you for a little while." Well, then we did a little spot of shopping in Soho. And then we walked over to the Roxy Hotel. They have, nice little desserts and drinks and stuff.
Yeah, they do.
I'm sitting outside and this couple comes up, this lovely young couple come up and say, "Do you want to see our documentary tonight? It's playing here at the Roxy Theater," which I didn't realize the Roxy.
I didn't know they had a theater.
They have one down in the basement. And they said that and it's about the 1980s. It's about the artist Ed Brzezinski, I think, and who's not that well of a known painter, but it was about the 80s scene down in the East Village and just
that would be so great.
How wild it was. It was firstly we couldn't go Saturday night, but they had another showing on the Upper West Side yesterday or on Monday. So and it turns out that Heather, it's a husband and team, Brian and Heather, and Heather used to be in Wicked. So I asked
her, God. I mean, go figure, right?
So I asked her if she knew Brad and Tony from Atlanta, who are good friends of mine, who used to be in WIC, and she goes, "Oh my God, I know that, I love them." So we took a picture. I sent it to them. They were like, "Oh my God, these are two of my favorite people." So Monday, the three of us then met up and went down to see this documentary, which was absolutely wonderful.
Did you love it, Tim? Did you recognize a lot of the names in the documentary?
Some of them, yeah. But it was Make Me Famous is the name of it. And you can go to Make Me Famous movie on Instagram.
Oh, cool.
And find out more information. I think they're having another showing Sunday the 10th at, and I didn't even know this theater was there, on the Upper West Side near Lincoln Center. It's on 67th.
Wow.
It's the new Plaza Cinema. And it's this little theater up for independent films. And I love it. I loved everything about it. But it was one of those things where we just happened to be at that place as they were walking by, talking about their movie, which now connected all of us, and we ended up going to see it another day.
But don't you love those kids? I call them kismet moments, right?
I do.
There's so much going on. And so we miss so many things because there's just, there's too much information, too much going on. So we have to rely on those kismet moments,
right,
when our paths cross.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's exactly what happened to you. And this movie really sounds right up my alley.
Exactly. I think you'd really like it. I think you'd like it a lot. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. Well, tell about today's guest.
Oh, today is, first of all, our guest is a real Renaissance woman, and she's a brand in her own right. Yes. She's a rising star in dance music. She also has some really incredible lifestyle blog where she gives advice. She gives advice on anti-aging. She gives advice on lifestyle. And she is the person to give advice because she is what I call a major on top. Say that word for me, Tym Moss. Entrepreneur. Yes. Yeah, entrepreneur. But the coolest thing, I just realized, she is going to be at Chelsea Table and Stage September 23rd. All right. So you can go to her site, which is Irene Michaels Music, and find out more about it. And without further ado, I want to bring on Irene Michaels.
Yay!
Hello.
There she is.
There you are. I'm excited. I just found out you were going to be at Chelsea Table. Girl, if I had known you were going to be in New York, I would have snagged you live here today.
Oh, let's come back next time.
Well, now you're in Chicago.
I'm in Chicago.
Yes, and I was just there a couple weeks ago. Had we known each other, oh my goodness.
Oh.
I know, had your paths crossed, right? When you were there.
Absolutely. I love Chicago. Oh my goodness.
I do too. It's a wonderful city. So is New York.
Yes.
The only thing about Chicago is everything about it's wonderful, except I'm not a winter person, and that the winds that come off of that lake there I would be holed up in the winter. I don't deal well with it in New York. So that's why they call it the Windy City, right, Irene?
Yes, but that's really not the reason why I got that name. Supposedly the Windy City was actually from a long time ago. The gangsters, mobsters, and the politicians are all full of wind because they all lied.
That's Wendy.
Got the name the Windy City. It also has wind.
I never knew that.
Wind as in hot air. And you're the first person that ever told me that. See, I love doing this show because I learn things from our guest, Tim. How cool is that little fact?
That is. Yeah, I grew up in Indiana. So in north central Indiana. So I used to pop over there on the weekends and I used to, up to Boys Town and up in there. Yeah, I used to fall. Mm-hmm.
So Irene, so you grew up in Chicago.
Yes.
And, just reading through, my gosh, everything you've done, some of our paths cross, modeling, acting. How did that all come about for you? You were like a kid when you got involved in performing.
Yes, I started my first dance lesson when I was like 11 years 11 years old.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I went to a dance studio with my cousin, and she was taking tap lessons. And I said, wow, that looks like something really cool to do. So I went out the next week, bought tap lessons and tap shoes, started taking tap lessons, and I fell in love with tap. I fell in love with the dance, the art, the whole theatrical routine. So I've been dancing since I've been 11 years old. So it's been a long time, I love it.
So you learned tap was your first with dance?
Yes, tap dancing. Then I went into ballet, and then I went into modern jazz.
Uh-huh.
I became somebody's protege. And
Wow, you had to be good.
yeah, well, thank you. So I was excited to do that. And at the age of 16, I started going on tour with the dance company.
Wow.
And I was always in the chorus, not a prima ballerina because I just didn't have the brain for it. But I did do a lot of dancing. Finally ended up on Broadway. I worked in chorus line for a couple of years.
Oh,
that is so good.
So that was really fun. And then I've always been interested in the arts. So I started taking modeling lessons, and I started taking a little acting lessons. And then in between that time, I got married like everybody, and then didn't do my career for a while. But it always crept back into my bones because what's in your blood, it's in your blood.
From the time you were a kid. I mean, it's just there. You can't get away from it.
Oh, really? I used to ride like a broom and put a big like a scarf on my head and pretend I was something else. I was always living in a pretend world.
We know what that's like.
It's still that way.
So growing up in Chicago, I mean, were your parents, were they supportive and encouraging?
My mother wasn't particularly happy I was going into the arts because she was concerned about me because I started going on the road when I was very young.
Yeah.
Really?
Dad was all for it. He said, you go, kid.
Yeah. Get out there, learn life. Yeah.
Did you grow up with the kind of mantra I did that, you were dreaming and you really needed something, quote unquote, to fall back on, those words? Did your mother say to you, Irene, you need something to fall back on?
No, that's interesting because I have heard that from many parents, but not from mine.
Okay.
I think they didn't even try to tell me that because there wasn't stopping me. No, but well, I've been in the arts. I've been a dancer, been a model, been an actress. Of course, now I'm singing. I didn't sing for a long time. And then when COVID hit and we all had to stay in the house, I went back, I sat at my piano, picked up my guitar and started puttering around with it. And I thought, I really miss this. Mm-hmm. So I started writing some songs and started singing and thought, okay, I'm a little rusty, but I'm going to start taking some vocal lessons and get some.
Good for you. Wow.
And I started doing that and the whole thing came back to me. And then that was it.
Wow.
No stopping me.
Because once a performer, always a performer.
Right. But it's not easy. Like I think I read or heard somewhere you picked up guitars after not playing them at all. And then to start to do that, certainly later in life, is not an easy thing. And I love talking to you because you make it sound like it was just completely natural. Once you started going, that was it.
Well, we all have challenges in life, and talking about the guitar, it was really my instrument of choice. I love the guitar. I never really took that many piano lessons. And if I did, I guess I could be better. But I did take a lot of guitar. And so I did have an incident that happened to me about maybe 6-7 years ago, because I ride horses and I'm an equestrian and I still compete in different shows for jumpers, hunter and jumpers. I was at a friend of mine's barn one day, and she had, unbeknownst to me, she had stallions and they were in their stalls. And me being the friendly person I am, I want to pet everything and touch everything.
Of course.
So I was walking through the aisle, and I thought, oh, doesn't this horse look lovely? And I put my hand up, and the horse took offense to that and leaped at me and bit my finger off.
Oh my God, finger
Wait,
off. Oh my
your whole
goodness.
finger got bitten off?
A big part of the tip.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
So, of course, I was in total shock. And then that took about 9 months to feel like a normal.
Well, wait, were they able? I know they can do this. Were they able to get the tip and reconnect it?
No, because it was just gone. It was probably in his mouth.
Wow.
Oh my God, that's
I know, awful. But it healed. Of course, you have so many nerve endings at the tip of your fingers that if you damage the tip of your finger, it's always going to feel like you have some kind of nerve going on there.
Wow.
It's a weird feeling.
You still feel it.
Yeah, it still is to today.
Wow.
But the drawback with that is because I have small hands to begin with, to wrap your hand around the piano and let your fingers stretch where the strings should be. It was very difficult. So I learned a new method of playing that my hands don't have to go all the way around, but I could just do different things.
Is that like a different I guess chording to create the chord? It's in a different position.
Yeah, it's a different formation. Yes, instead of having, for instance, people who know the guitar and the fret, if you have an F chord, major chord, and you put your hands, it goes all the way across all the strings.
Yeah.
But there's another way of playing it with one finger.
Playing an F chord.
It's a different technique.
It's a different technique. And I'm trying to think who does it. Someone in the Rolling Stones. Is it, who's the guitarist? Richards. He does that a lot.
Wow.
Wow.
If you watch him play, yeah. It's like Elvis Presley played zillions of songs and he knew 4 or 5 chords.
Wow.
Yeah.
Irene, do you play piano also? I'm trying to think about this now.
I do very little. I can't really accompany myself.
I brought that up because Tim had a friend she was promoting those smaller pianos. Do you remember?
Oh, yes.
And we spoke about it on our show, and I'm thinking, I always love looping things together.
I forgot about that.
With me for a minute, but for somebody, if you did play piano, the pianos that she was promoting were smaller. Everything was closer,
like
right?
For people with smaller hands and like children. And
I love one of those.
Right. I know. That's what I'm thinking. If you ever do pick up piano, get in touch with Tim. He'll hook you up with her. I love networking like that.
Okay.
It's all good. So that was that's a very challenging thing as a performer to have gone through that. And the irony, you who loves horses so much. I'm a horse lover. I don't ride like you do. It makes me wonder that all I don't know much about stallions, except Italian stallions. But like, are they always like that? They can be like
they're high-spirited. They're high-spirited. And they're hard to ride. They're hard to ride. And so you just really have to be careful. The horses that I own are thoroughbreds and halflingers. Halflingers come from Germany. They're usually our race horses, and my horses are crossed with the Morgan horse, so it's not so. But they're still very fast. Yeah.
Now, how did you get into equestrian riding?
That's a cute story. I was a kid again. And I used to go to a lot of carnivals because I was always fascinated with the merry-go-round. And this one time that I went to a place, it was called a Kitty View, yes, somewhere in one of the suburbs in Chicago. And they had these pony rides for $1. So that was the first time I got on a horse, for $1, and I rode around. And I said, that's it. I was immediately in love with that. I went back there, and it was really far, and I was a young kid. I'd have to take 3 buses and, gather up all my change to go. And so I think I had my first horse at the age of 16. And so ever since then I've owned horses.
So
Well,
where do you keep the horses? Where are they?
I keep them at a place called the Wayne DuPage Hunt. It's over in Dunham Woods, and that's an hour out of the city.
Uh-huh.
And it's a beautiful. It's almost like you're in Ireland. It has rolling hills and beautiful white picket fences, and
that's kind of what I imagined. Yeah, kind of like a horse farm, and
wow, it's really pretty.
And do you actually do like the whole fox hunt thing and tally ho?
Yes, we do.
Wow.
Yeah, they put out a scent, and then the scent of a fox, and then the hounds are let go. No, we can't call them a dog. We have to call them hounds.
Yeah, they're hounds. I know the terminology.
I corrected on that before. So they let the hounds go, and then they let the horses go, and then the riders, everybody's off over the field, over the bushes, through the woods. And then at the end of 2 hours, they have what is called a kill. It's not a real kill. It's a simulated kill.
Yeah.
The master of the hunt sits there very proud with his horn and blows the horn. We have finished. We're all here safe and sound. And then we go and we have these stirrup cups that are on horses. And you go into somebody's backyard who graciously hosts a party, and you drink wine and port and have cheese, and people, serve you on your horse.
How fabulous!
And how cool is you know what, you're talking to New York people here. We don't even know any. I actually used to ride English, but I don't even know anyone that rides anymore, except some people in the Hamptons. As you know, there's a lot of competitions out there. But Tim, it's the equestrian world.
Absolutely,
it's such an incredible world. I used to know someone that trained horses in Florida, of course.
So how did you get into the actual equestrian and the learning and the training to be able to compete?
Well, I took lots of lessons. And you take lessons.
You would have to go like 2 hours or an hour each way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you have to be very committed and dedicated.
Absolutely.
Several lessons a week, and went far, and came back. And then you graduate, and if you become a good rider in the hunt, then you earn your colors. That's what it's called.
Interesting.
You have a plain blue jacket formally that you ride in, but then when you earn your colors, your collar becomes yellow, and so that means that you can hunt anywhere in the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
So and then like with so you do like the jumping and the and how in the world would you learn how to do that without falling off? I know you had to have.
I have fallen off.
I would think
you're on a horse, you're going to fall off. Yeah. At one time, I had a very serious accident, and I fractured my femur in 6 pieces.
Oh my goodness!
And they said, we're not sure you're going to be able to ride again. Well, I wasn't going to hear that. So it took me 9 months to walk like a normal person.
Wow!
And I was on an air machine that lifts you, and you start using your legs little by little. And
my
you make
goodness!
The movement like you're walking. And then sooner or later, working out with a trainer and therapy and discipline, I got back on the horse.
Oh, wow.
She did what they tell you to do, Tim. If you get thrown, get back on the horse.
Back on that
I got thrown one time too many, and I reached a certain age where I thought, you know what, you must be an incredible. I was certainly not. I didn't do what you did, but I loved riding. I loved riding English, and I loved jumping. But I ended up going to help in a horse therapy place where which you must know all about. Tim, it's incredible. You can take a physically challenged person that is in a wheelchair and put them on a horse and have them put both arms out to balance. And I would be the walker. And they would gain confidence. And it's amazing, an amazing thing.
Wow. But I'm trying to get, because I've never been on, I think I was on a horse once when he jumped something little, but just that off balance moment.
I'm trying to imagine Tim on a horse.
There's got to be a way that where you just kind of get in tune and you anticipate and you just kind of jump with the horse or something.
Yes, but you also have to have it's not only the rider, but you really have to have a good horse. Like some
Okay.
of these horses, like where you live in the Hamptons, East Hampton. And matter of fact, I think right now the East Hampton Classic is going on.
Yeah, I think so too.
And the purses you win there are like $250,000. So
Wow.
those are very
Big
serious
bucks.
riders. I think Bruce Springsteen's daughter one year, one time, and then Mayor Bloomberg's daughter, I think, won another year.
Mhm.
So all high-end horses.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so again, after all of that, you've still got a love for
Yeah,
the
Pat,
horses.
such a
I do.
passion for the horses, which
It's
is
so majestic, they're so powerful, majestic, and royal.
And you can't help but respect that animal when you're around a horse.
You bet.
Mm-hmm.
so with all this going on, somewhere along the way, you turn yourself into an entrepreneur with a whole business website that addresses all kinds of things that we are dealing with as women or even men, right? Anti-aging, lifestyle, all of it. Tell us about that.
Well, Eye in the Scene was born about, we gave birth to it about 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, you're not going to dance. At some point, you might not act unless the men have a more of a longevity in acting than women do.
Right.
And so, but I always wanted to be a part of everything that was glamorous and beautiful and creative.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought the way to do that is to go out in the field and now get on the other side of the camera and start interviewing the people. Which is what I started to do with my website. And then it started to grow into like a lifestyle website, all about glamour, all about beauty secrets behind the red carpet, backstage. I was meeting a lot of celebrities. And so the website became very popular because it offered a lot of information. And then we wrote stories, leading stories about many things. I wrote for the Huffington Post for a long time. Of course, I wrote my own book. Here it is right here. I just happen to have it handy.
Perfect.
Called I Am Beauty, Living Luxurious and Beautifully Over 50.
Love it. And how can people find that book?
Oh, this is sold on Amazon.
Okay, great.
And what is the name of the book?
Here we go. I'll put it up so your viewers can see it.
You can hold it right to the camera too. We love that.
What is it called? I can't quite see. Beauty.
I Am Beauty, Living Luxuriously. You see it?
I Am Beauty. Yes.
And there you are on the cover, looking beautiful and inspirational.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's beyond 50, but it's also, young girls have picked up this book and have found a lot of tips in it. I'll give you one tip that I found very fascinating.
Beauty tips.
Yes. Elizabeth Taylor used to put sesame oil on her entire body and sleep in it at night. That's how she had that milky white skin. It's beautiful. And let's see, Catherine Zeta-Jones used to wash her hair in beer. And so,
what was it?
In beer. And you also, in beer, yes, the beer that you drink. It makes it really shiny. And then you could also, for a great moisturizer, put mayonnaise on your hair at night.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
I remember as a kid, mayonnaise. Wasn't there something with egg yolk too?
Or egg, egg. Or
egg yolk for the face because
for the face, yeah.
Or actually the whites of the egg with a little honey or oatmeal. If you beat that, it's hard. You put it on your face and leave it on your face for 15 minutes, and then you take it off.
Wow.
Well, I didn't realize between the sesame oil and the mayo and the eggs, I've got a whole beauty thing here in my house.
Coffee beans. What the heck is her name? Holly. What's her first name?
Holly Hunter or
the beautiful black actress.
Oh,
Holly Berry.
Holly Berry. Yeah.
Yeah.
She used to, and still does, rub her body with coffee grounds. So that's like an exfoliation.
And
then you
You see, Tim's going to try all of this. He'll be good enough to eat when we're all done.
But I have a feeling I'm going to get them mixed up, and I'll have coffee grounds in my hair and mayo on my arm. And
no one will go near you, Tim. No one will want to go near you.
That's funny.
Oh, but yeah, you've obviously, I mean, again, you're a beautiful woman. I can tell inside and out, and you've been around in the industry that celebrates beauty. Like you've been a model.
Mm-hmm.
How can you tell us a little bit about your modeling and then your acting? And
sure.
Mm-hmm.
I was asked to do from a long time ago. I was asked to do a modeling job. I knew nothing about modeling, but I said, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And I appeared at the studio, and I did not know how to pose. So the photographer that was there, his name was Jim Parks, and he was an excellent photographer, really, really good. Since then, he's passed away, but he said, oh my God, you don't know what you're doing. And I said, well, teach me. And he did.
Yeah.
And he showed me all the moves, and I worked with him for a whole year. And then I was pretty lucky. I got a very, maybe a dozen covers.
Oh, wow.
I won many different beauty contests, which I was excited about.
Oh my goodness!
But I've done tons of work all over the world as a model.
Wow.
And I also did intimate fashions where I modeled lingerie, which is usually triple or quadruple the price that the hourly rate you get as a regular model. So that was a big coup for me. And then when I was modeling, I was asked to do an audition in California for a soap opera. And with modeling and with dancing and all the arts, you can do it all. You do a little acting, a little
There's a definite parallel between them.
Unless you're like a serious theater actress, then you have to just study that.
Right.
My hat is off to anybody who works in theater on Broadway or any big production, because it's a tremendous amount of work
and commitment.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Commitment, the energy. I remember when who was the comedian that was just on Broadway and since that Mr. Saturday Night.
Oh yeah, Billy Crystal.
Yes.
Billy Crystal, yeah.
My husband Arnie Granite, he produced that show.
Oh, okay.
And also at the time with David from Los Angeles, managed Billy. Mm-hmm. And at his age, to learn all that entire script for that length of time every single night.
Right.
It's like so in awe of him, because I know how hard that is, even just learning a song with a few lyrics, let alone learning pages and pages. Mm-hmm. So most Broadway people, my hat is off to them, because it's really tough work.
Well, even you brought up something, Irene, being able at a certain age to learn those scripts. We've had some senior actors on here that, oh my God, Louise Sorrell, a lot of them that are even in my finest young moments could never learn the amount of pages that they can learn, and they're still doing it. Mm-hmm. They're still doing it. They're still working well into their 70s. And
Bonnie Bartlett was in her 90s.
Bonnie, right, exactly.
Wow. She was doing Shakespeare.
Right. Bonnie was doing Shakespeare. Yeah. And I can't wrap my head around that, because my God, I forget a shopping list. You know, how did they do it?
I forget why I went to the kitchen.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you how they do it. This is one of the reasons how it's done. It's like, take, for example, a bodybuilder. Yeah. And if they start weightlifting, let's say they're a skinny little thing, but they start weightlifting and pumping iron, and they do it all the time, eventually they're going to develop a muscle.
It's a muscle memory.
It's a muscle memory. So if you keep practicing, rehearsing a line, and then you add a second line and a third line, there is a method. And there are many books that are out there on that method, but it is a muscle memory. And pretty soon it just comes natural. Sometimes when I'm rehearsing for a show and I'm doing songs and I miss the lyrics, I go, how could I forget that lyric? I've been working on this for so long. But yet when I get out there, It's like ding, something comes into play and you don't forget.
Right.
But
Right.
it's still like what he did to Billy. It was like,
What amazing. Yeah. I love it.
mhm.
Wait, Tim.
Sorry. I'm one that can juggle different shows and do, like I had a show called Reunion. It was a play that I was in one weekend. The following weekend, I was in Bitter Betty's, which was a completely different thing with a 10-minute cabaret set attached. And and then 50 Shades of Gay the week after in Chicago. You know, I've just, somehow I can do this. I'm grateful for it.
It's a lot. Yeah.
But I sat down to sing one song in the cabaret segment, and I had never performed on that stage, and seeing a lot of friends or people that I knew in the audience that night, and somebody did something or waved or something, and it caught my attention, and I forgot a lyric, a line from a song that I have sung for 20 years.
It happened.
Right, but you
sometimes you just don't know.
Right. Or if it's it's your first time on a different stage.
Yeah.
Or somebody in the audience does something, and that moment you lose track of whatever it was that's been in there for the last 10 years.
Oh God, so many things can happen up there.
Right.
Well, that's why people adulate entertainers so much, because we have the guts to go up there and make an ass out of ourselves.
Right.
Forget a lyric and still go on, keep going on.
So that's a skill, especially I'm very trained in improv. Anything could happen to me on stage, and I can honestly say I could completely rebound from it, because what I lack in memorization, I make up for in spontaneity.
And
that's a skill.
To be said, you got to trust yourself up there, right?
Yeah.
And now, Irene, with your singing, we have a video, correct? Yes, we have a video of one of your new songs.
I Like Rain.
Yes. So why don't we take a break? We'll watch the video, and then we'll come back and talk about that song. How about that?
Okay.
Some want sunshine all the time, always want the stars aligned. When I'm near you, I can be blue, but I'm the other colors too. It has no end, it has no start, it's just the logic of my heart. It's the secret you can never tell. We're falling, like little drops on a window pane. We're falling, but I like rain. See you deep inside my soul. What I hold, I can't control. When you're lost in midst of night, you're never out of my sight. It has no end, it has no start, it's just the logic of my heart. It's the secret you can never tell. We're falling, like little drops on the window pane. We're falling, but I like rain. Come with me and we will see all that's there for us to dream. We're imperfect, you and me. We're all broken fantasies. We're falling,
Yes.
Irene, what a beautiful video and very catchy. I find myself swept into it and singing along with it. It's very dancey. How did you get into dance music?
Oh boy, that's a long story, but I'll make it short. Well, I started doing pop. Was doing pop for a while in cabaret, and then I have a friend who is actually who owns a label, Trax label. Her name is Rachel Kane.
Oh, Rachel, yeah, I know Rachel. Screaming Rachel.
Screaming Rachel.
Yeah,
and so
that's so funny.
I know. And she came to me and she says, "You know what? You should be doing house music." I said, "Oh no, that's for the 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, maybe 40, but I think I'm a little, beyond that." "Oh no," she said, "you'd be perfect." And so she sort of talked me into it. She actually was after me for a couple of years to do it. And so I said, "Okay, we're going to do it." So then I started writing lyrics down. And then I connected with a composer who lives in Los Angeles. His name is Michael Levine.
Okay.
And between the two of us, we put our lyrics and our music and ideas together and recorded it in his studio. And then we flew to Nashville to do the video in the studio in Nashville. And then, of course, we had the ace promoter, Eileen Shapiro, to promote it.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah, she's done a fantastic job. My whole team I'm so thankful. Rachel Kane, Suzanne Tripoldi, Jimmy Starr, Eileen Shapiro, everyone. It's been a really fun journey.
Yes. Well, I have to tell you that they did teach you to model well. Like some of the movements with the
right, Tim, I know.
And also there was like an homage to the old Hollywood with the shadows and the lighting that was fabulous.
Well, yeah, we tried that. So yeah.
But you know what? Good for you, because you jumped into a genre that probably was not the most comfortable for you to do, and you did it, and you pulled it off. What is it about you that let you take that kind of risk?
Oh, I welcome all risk. I'm totally adventurous, and I want challenges all the time.
I love it.
I'm very goal driven. So if someone suggests something and there's that much thought about it, I will do it.
I love that.
Because it is about getting on that horse and jumping over that fence again and again.
And another thing too, talking about inspiration, we need a goal. Two of my philosophies in life, one is it's not what happens to you, but how you handle it. It's all about attitude.
Right.
And the other one is never give up. Always have a goal, because it's like you're like a flower. And if you're not watered continually, you're going to die. And so your spirit, people who retired, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with retiring, but you need to always have something to work towards.
Right.
At least in my world. And so it's very important that I have these challenges, on a continual basis. And that just makes me feel like I'm young, I'm alive, I'm a part of the scene. And it's just very exciting.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, we're right there with you, by the way, Irene, with that. Not everybody practices that. And I notice I can now at this stage, I can't be around people that aren't doing that, because it brings me down.
Absolutely.
Every day that we have is our tomorrow. And my God, we're all so much smarter than we were when we were 20. Think of all the dumb things you did when you were in your 20s. Now you've got like the smarts and the attitude and the personality to really go for it. It's a great time.
Yeah. But also when you're learning something new like that, or a new genre or something to that effect, it keeps your mind going, and you're learning new things, and that keeps you young.
Oh God, yeah. Do you know what Frank Sinatra, he said a very wise thing. He said, we as people, as human beings, we're all born backwards. We should have been born old and then die young. At least to have the energy to do everything.
Exactly.
Oh my God, I totally love that. That's great. I never heard that before, but think about that.
Because what is it? Youth is wasted on the young.
Absolutely.
Right.
I know it was with me.
No, well, so you know what? Same here.
Well,
So I really wanted to talk to you about your products. You have a product line. And as a female, and I'm not trying to, because I know, Tim, you care about how you look too, but I'm always looking for, we're now so into Botox, fillers, threads. There's so many ways, right, of hanging on to that youth. But I have also learned, and believe it or not, I found a product in Alaska that I brought back with me, and it wasn't cheap. And anyone who knows me, I don't like to spend a lot of money, believe it or not, on skincare. I always can do with a cheaper product what I can do with a more expensive. But this has got a seaweed base to it. And I have to tell you, just like having filler, and we all know what filler costs a syringe out there. It's $800 or so. And I love talking beauty. So in your products, Irene, tell me what like the base is, what you like to work with in the products that you promote.
But before I do that, I'm very fascinated now. Seaweed. How does seaweed act as a filler?
The seaweed does the pulling a little bit, but there's something else in there. Cannabis. This is what it said. I wish I should have brought the packaging. Damn. And you can email me. I'll tell you exactly what's in it, and then you can Google it. But
so you put it on your face? You put it on your face, or do you eat it?
It's the tiniest bit, and whatever area you're trying to smooth out. For me, it's always here. I'm talking like little drops, and you go and then you'll feel it tightening, but you don't end up with a line from it. You just end up smooth. And believe me when I say I try lots of things, and this one really blew me out of the water, and I spent a lot of money on it. And this guy was smart enough to snag me as I was walking through Ketchikan, Alaska. He had a cosmetic place of all places, but you know what? It works. And I thought, gee, with seaweed and cannabis, because a lot of people have just started to use cannabis as a base in their products. I'm curious, like what you like and what you have found that works.
Well, for my product, Ion Beauty, it's a serum.
Yes.
And it has a stainless steel little roller ball. It's about that big. And it has hyaluronic acid, quite a bit of it in it. And hyaluronic acid, holds water weight in your skin. So about 300 times, actually more. And so if you were to put, for instance, if you have like these little wrinkles under your eyes or even in your bust line, on your hands, if you use this serum, that's what it is, it's a serum, every day and every night, you will see some results. Now, it's not something that's going to take your wrinkles away, but it will minimize them. It will make the skin very refreshing looking and minimize the wrinkles and give yourself a glow. So you could use it. It's for men and women, anywhere. Yeah. So, and it's a very, very easy package to bring, to put in your purse. That was a real big thing with me, that people who want to grab their product never take it with them because it's all too big, too cumbersome. They don't want to put it out there to everyone. So, but this is almost like a tube of lipstick. So it's a beautiful product. It really, really does work.
And this is available through the website, right? I
was going to say, how can people find out about that? Yeah.
Okay, you could buy it through Amazon also. It's on Amazon. Okay.
And is it IM?
Here, I'll show it to you. Want me to show it to you?
Yes. Oh, yeah, of course. We're all about show and tell on here. Oh my God, if I had it with me, I'd do a demonstration while we're on here.
And thank you everyone for tuning in to If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, and our wonderful and fabulous guest who will be right back with her
with the products.
Irene Michaels.
Seeing is believing, right? Absolutely. She's went to get the product. It's to show us it can fit in your purse. It's uses hyaluronic acid, and a roller. For those of you who don't know what a roller is, I've used them. It almost like a micro needling, and you put the product on your face, and then you roll the roller, and you will end up moisturized, glowing, and it does definitely reduce wrinkles. Because when you feel fabulous, it's because you look fabulous.
Because you are fabulous.
Because you are fabulous. Thank you, too.
Here
Okay,
it
she's
is.
with product. Yes.
It's here. See how tiny it is?
Yes, that's perfect.
Ion Youth. That's actually the real name, Ion Youth. And if you open it, okay, you see that little roller blade right there?
Yes.
And so you just put it under your eye like that, or put it on your hands, if you can see if I'm getting it properly. Or you can put it in your bust line.
Décolleté.
Yes, décolleté. And there it is. No one knows the wiser. You know, there it is.
Nice.
Yeah. That,
Great product.
yeah, no, I could see how it would be a great product, and I love that your focus is on that. I'm all about longevity, right? And
Yes.
we just had the discussion about going for it, taking risks, taking our knowledge that we've accumulated, and now being able to really turn it into something. But I think for a lot of people, both male and female, how you present yourself, it's often hooked into your psyche. So let's be the best we can be. And with your product, that certainly will add into that. Thank you for thinking of that.
Absolutely.
I got to get back for a second, because you mentioned Frank Sinatra earlier on something that he said. Now, you have a connection to Frank Sinatra.
Yes. I used to date Frank Sinatra's manager, Jilly Rizzo.
This is so great.
And Jilly lived in Palm Springs. And I met my husband, 30 years ago. I didn't see him for a long time. Then we re-met each other. But he was promoting Frank Sinatra, and I was dating Frank Sinatra's manager. And so we were always together at dinners, because Frank would like to everybody sit around after the show and drink and eat to all hours of the night. Everybody knows that. And so I met Arnie when he was, in that entourage of people. And then years later, we took a picture there together, all the group. And years later, a friend of Arnie said, "You should meet this gal by the name of Irene." He says, "Gee, that name sounds familiar." He didn't really remember who I was.
Funny. Wow.
So we reunited. And on our first date, I said, it was in New York. And I said, you don't remember me, do you? And he said, "Well, not really." So I took him to Jilly's nightclub in New York. And on the wall was a picture of he and I and Sinatra 30 years.
That's brilliant. Oh my God.
That's great.
Yeah. It was
what a great, and he must have flipped out when he saw that.
Yeah, it's like, wow, he couldn't believe it. He tells that story all the time. It's kind of a fun story.
Great. I love that.
Yeah.
What a piece of history that you were a part of,
Absolutely.
I mean, Frank Sinatra was the Rat Pack.
Absolutely. It's,
great story.
What's the sad thing about it is that I have an assistant. And when I say, "Well, would you put Sinatra on?" Who's Sinatra?
Oh. Oh my God.
Right, because we're so young. It's been a long time now, but it seems like yesterday.
Right.
He never will die in people's minds.
Well, now also being a part of history, tell us a little bit about General Hospital.
Yeah.
Oh, General Hospital was a great job. I was on there for 6 years.
That's
Made a wicked nurse.
Oh,
And,
fun.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. I can tell you this funny story now because the person has passed. But I was renting a coach house from the star's home. The star of the show was Emily McLaughlin, and she lived in not Hancock Park, Sherman Oaks.
Okay.
And we didn't talk too much, we didn't socialize that much. But at the show, I would see her and we'd talk. And so finally, we became friendly. Because she had to feel me out, like, who is this girl? So, she invited me into her home, And she said, well, come on, sit down. Would you like a drink? I go, well, sure. She said, would you like a joint? I go, well, I don't think so. And so I said, well, maybe. And so instead of handing me this cigarette, what per se, with her hand, she put it in between her toes and handed it to me with her toe. And that's how
That is style. That is style.
she smoked with her foot.
Oh my God.
That's imperative.
Isn't that fun? And then across the street from me, Bob Hope used to live. And then Ellis Cooper lived on the other side.
Oh, wow.
And the fellow nun lived across from me. And I'd go out in the
neighborhood.
Really, Tim, huh?
Funny. I'd go out in the middle of the day and the flying nun was, on a crane because she'd have to fly in practice. Yeah. It was just all animated. They put her on a crane. She'd be flying through the neighborhood on this crane. And then Cooper was in the back, in his backyard, cutting his head off with the guillotine, practicing how they do that. And Bob Hope was just looking at everything,
rolling his eyes.
It was pretty fun. Yeah,
that is amazing.
That's amazing. Really amazing bits of trivia that are personal to you, by the way. How cool is that you got to see that?
Absolutely. Now we have some viewers that have written in. Marty Albutcher says, ask Irene if she knew Neil Hirsch. He is in Wellington, Florida, and started the polo matches back up there.
Oh, I don't know him personally, but I certainly know of him.
Okay.
Polo matches.
Let me see. Greetings to you all from Kakuma refugee camp. That's Kenyan,
from
in Kenya, I believe, right?
In a refugee camp in Kenya, and has been tuning. Can you imagine tuning in to watch the stories? If you want to hear stories, it's unbelievable. And thank you, Kenyan, for tuning in and watching our show today. Yes, we're thinking about you.
Let me see here.
Lori Towers.
Lori Towers says, I adore Julie London, and I heard a lot of her texture in that track.
Oh, yes. She's one of my favorites. Yes. Thank you.
And Lynn Scannell says, hello, how are you? Lots of love from Gloucester.
Lots of love to you, too.
And, of course, Teresa Sabin tunes in every week and said, that's beautiful, Wendy Stuart. I don't remember what I said. It couldn't have been me singing. That's all I can say.
And she also, Teresa Sabin also says, fantastic story. I'm not sure which one she was talking about because you had a lot of fantastic stories. And Michael Luisi says, love you.
Hi, Michael Luisi.
Yes.
Yeah, we love connecting with people. The beauty of streaming, right? Which for us, Irene, came about like during the pandemic. You used it to write your songs. This came up. We didn't do this before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I thought about during the pandemic, right? Everybody was home. And God bless Eileen Shapiro, who I had just gotten to do my PR before the pandemic. I called her up and said, now what am I going to do? PR for what? And she said, don't worry, we'll make something happen. And she started putting me on other people's shows. And I thought, I can do this. I'm a host. And Tim is a host. And we came up with the idea. And of course, because it was the pandemic, everybody was home. So you could get every celebrity because their tours and everything were canceled. And that's when we started streaming the shows. So we so great having you here today.
Yes. So Irene, can you tell everybody again how they can get in touch with you, how they can find out more about you and about the products and your book?
Yeah.
Yes, you can visit my website, www.eyeonthescene.com. You could also go to my music website, Irene Michaels Music. My products are sold through Amazon. And what else could I tell you?
You have a book.
And the book, same thing. The book is sold through Amazon. And any of the advertising that goes out, it will usually say contact person. It will either be Suzanne Tripoli or Eileen Shapiro.
Perfect.
And your upcoming show?
Yes, my upcoming show is Chelsea's in Chelsea, New York. And is that right, Chelsea, New York?
It's Chelsea,
Chelsea
Table and Stage.
But
Yeah.
it's in Chelsea, New York.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. And so that's September 22nd, and I'm very thrilled to be there. I have seen other acts there, and it's
it's
great
great.
room.
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah.
Show. It's going to be warm, sexy, humorous. So please come and
It's a
join.
beautiful, elegant space. With Tim and I've been there. We saw Randy Edelman there, who's fabulous. Great food, fancy cocktails. I love fancy cocktails.
Me
And,
too.
it's beautiful to watch a performance there. So kudos to you. Great place. Is this your first time performing in a New York venue?
No, I performed
did
at
Sonoma,
Mamas before,
You did. Okay.
and private parties.
Of course. Yeah. Chelsea Table and Stage is just, it's such a gorgeous venue. I'm like, where did this come from?
Are you coming now to see the show?
I'm
Should be, yeah.
Tim may be able to. I have another
mine-
event that I'm hosting that night, so you know how it goes.
Yeah, I have to check my schedule because we're in Fashion Week this week, and
Oh, right.
yeah, I'm running from. I cover a lot of red carpets around town.
Oh, okay,
Do a lot
wonderful.
of the designers. So, but
Great.
if at all possible, I will definitely be there. Most definitely, I would
Great.
love to come and see you.
I'd love to see you.
And you'll let us know when you're going to be, back again,
Oh,
because when we
absolutely.
can, because we're in New York, we absolutely go. I've seen Randy a couple of times.
He's great.
And yeah, he's great. And now he's going to be at the Ice Palace, but it's the same date. I think you're going to be at Chelsea Market, or maybe it's a day apart.
Oh,
and that
he's
whole
going to be out on
weekend,
Fire Island, I think.
show, and I'm doing another thing. So it's like, oh, damn, I'm going to miss everything. Don't we wish we could clone ourselves?
Yes, absolutely. Oh, I'm a clone. Irene is really in the other room. No.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, Irene, and to the clone, you have been a delightful guest. I was really looking forward to having you on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Irene.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Irene
And
Michaels,
thank you, everybody who tuned in to watch us today. And if you're in New York, please catch Irene's show at Chelsea Table and Stage. She's one to watch. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.